Bitcoin is trading near a record high. Joining us now, Anthony Pompliano, Professional Capital Management founder and CEO. Anthony, it's good to see you. So I have to tell you, when we talk about crypto, Bitcoin, you want to keep up to date. It's a big, important market now with massive participation, but the story's always the same, isn't it? I mean, it's sort of like store of value. More people know about it and want to participate in it. Is there anything that's kind of moving the needle on a fundamental basis or a flow basis at this point?
Well, look, I actually think one of the problems with the traditional financial market is that people have to pay attention to it, right? If you think about what's going on in the stock market, I have to know what the company is, what products they're constantly coming out with, who are they selling them to, what's the latest earnings report, what's interest rates, all this information. It's very hard. And so if you think of the average American, they are getting punished in the economy, right? That K-shaped economy is really, really hurting a very large portion of it. And the beauty of Bitcoin is the very simple story. They are never going to stop printing money, so therefore Bitcoin will never stop going up. And if you simply think of Bitcoin as savings technology, all you have to do is go out, work hard at your job, make money, spend less than you make, and then put the extra savings into Bitcoin, and then allow Bitcoin to benefit from what we know is going to happen, which is they are never going to stop printing money. And I think that simplicity is actually very attractive to some cohort of investors. And now you see investors saying, wait a second here, this quote-unquote debasement trade means that I don't have to go do all that work. I can simply just go and buy something like Bitcoin. And I think that really maybe the story of finance of this decade is that Bitcoin is becoming the hurdle rate, right? Historically, we've looked at things like the S&P. If you go back to 2020, the S&P is up 100% since 2020. Priced in Bitcoin is down 90%. All of the returns that people are talking about in traditional finance, most of them are negative because no one can beat Bitcoin. And so if you can't beat it, then we just say you got to buy it. And I think that's what a lot of investors are starting to do.
That's true. Now, the vast majority of Bitcoin that an individual saver is buying is being sold by somebody who already owned it, right? I mean, there's a massive industry that's essentially just kind of middleman, frictional. It's mostly about trading. It's not about anything else. It's not about, like, opening up a savings account where the bank creates the asset.
Well, there's always going to be trading volume in any asset, right? People are obviously going to constantly be trading an asset back and forth. But what you see is more and more Bitcoin is being taken into what we call illiquid supply. So over time, that percentage continues to increase where every Bitcoin that I buy, no one's ever touching again until I die. Right. And I think there's a lot of Bitcoiners who believe the exact same thing. And so what you're starting to see is that illiquid supply numbers creeping up. And so as more capital comes in, the only thing that can happen is if you have a finite supply asset, more people want that asset, but the people who hold it aren't willing to sell it. The price has to go up to clear the market. And that's why Bitcoin continues to go up over time.
Gold has done better than Bitcoin this year. Do you think in the crypto community they see gold as an ally or is it a competitor?
Yeah, it's funny that on one hand, Bitcoin and crypto folks, they're brothers in arms, right, in the fight against currency debasement. On the other hand, I think that the gold bugs are having a field day because they're outperforming Bitcoin. I think gold's up 50% this year. Bitcoin's up about 33%. What I will say is that the average return since 2015 of Bitcoin in Q4 is 60%. So the gold bugs, you're not at the finish line for the year yet. Let's see what happens. But if you go back just 5 years, right, gold is up about 100%. And during that time, Bitcoin's up 1,000%. And so I think that they both benefit from the same thing. It's just that you have a smaller market cap asset that's got a lot more volatility in Bitcoin. And therefore, it's kind of gold with wings is the way I like to think about Bitcoin.
What's the difference between those investor pools, or do they overlap?
I think that you generally are going to have an older audience that's got gold. You're also going to have the central banks today, institutions. But very quickly, you're starting to see more and more people that own Bitcoin. They're getting older. Right? It's been around for 15, 16 years now. But also, I think that people aspire to have the central banks eventually hold Bitcoin. The question is just, when do they do that? And what are the geopolitical things that start to transpire if all of a sudden you're saying, we're going to go put Bitcoin in our actual treasury reserve?